They'll probably hang you, buddy.
You coming, buddy?
So yesterday we finally got our first look at actual gameplay footage. Obviously some of the scenes in the 3 previous trailers are considered gameplay, but we all wanted to see the heads-up display on and some actual action, which shockingly we got 6 minutes of. And it looks like much more is coming very soon. Rockstar Games is handling this a bit different than Grand Theft Auto 5's marketing, it looks like, as we are getting a gameplay series of sorts, with this first one just being an introduction. Now some of you guys joined me on a live stream in which we watched and discussed what was shown. Unfortunately, the stream ran into some issues early on, but eventually we got to discuss what was shown. Now, I was left in shock because this world and game looks magnificent. There are so many scenes that just look breathtaking, like when Arthur rides to a view of a massive detailed mountain, or when Dutch and Arthur battle a blizzard, and you can see just how deep the snow is with the horse's footprints being left behind, or as Arthur rides in a mountain, and he overlooks what appears to be a storm arriving, but the sunlight still shines on a bit of the land, or when Arthur's fight turns from a cutscene smoothly into gameplay, and we can see just how dirtied up he is, or, well, you get the point. This game looks special, possibly revolutionary, and it certainly has me even more excited now, which I didn't really think was possible. There's just so much to love about what was shown, and it really started with the deputy making fun of Arthur, saying he'll probably hang, and then calling him buddy, and then Dutch blowing a hole in Arthur's jail cell wall and breaking him out, and then Dutch mocking the deputy by calling Arthur buddy. I played Red Dead Redemption so many times, so seeing that fun side of Dutch van der Linde was so strangely refreshing, and I already feel their family relationship that they have. So that really is my overall excitement and first impressions, but there's a lot more I feel we should talk about. I want to avoid the obvious that the narrator mentioned, but there are some hidden details that you may or may not have missed that I felt we would break down today. So we're going to begin with the story, and it looks like Rockstar Games is drawing inspiration from the Great Blizzard of 1899. Right now, many are theorizing the game will start in winter of 1898 with the Blackwater robbery, and then the gang will be forced to flee, but because of the conditions, the authorities in West Elizabeth are unable to chase after them and just assume they have died because of how bad the conditions are, which, as we've seen in the scene, Dutch is concerned for his family and trying to provide for them and keep them warm, even in these life or death conditions. Now, right now this is just a theory, but I feel this makes a lot of sense and may go in line with one of the scenes that we saw in the 3rd trailer. Having the game start very linear and not having the authorities on our tails at the start would make sense, and we could see the gang survive through this real life incident and then thrive for a while afterwards until the authorities find out they are alive, and then things may start to go bad. Next, continuing on story, we get a scene where Arthur Morgan takes out some very interesting looking individuals, and they look very similar to Pinkerton agents. I've theorized for the last few years we would see them playing a major role in this game, as at the time the FBI was not formed, and it wasn't formed until 1908. So it seems that Edgar Ross, who ends up being one of the main antagonists of Red Dead Redemption, as well as an early leader of the FBI by the events of that game, is a part of a different organization in 1899 when the game is set, and obviously we've already seen Edgar Ross and his mysterious boss. But for those unaware, the Pinkerton National Detective Agency is a private security guard and detective agency who has a long and detailed history, with the agency being most important in the 19th and early 20th century. They were also known for being hired to hunt down outlaws, which included Jesse James, the Reno Gang, and Butch Cassidy's Wild Bunch. Also, fun fact, it's said that Dutch's gang is and has been inspired by Butch Cassidy's Wild Bunch, who were one of the last outlaw gangs and was also active during the late 1890s and early 1900s. Continuing on, I'm actually going to do somewhat of a quick rundown of all the other hidden details, and there's quite a few that you may have missed. First, there have been 2 characters we've been waiting to get confirmation for, that being Jack and Abigail Marston, and we finally got that. There's a few shots of Jack sitting around and playing around camp. We actually see him beside John in one scene that I think a lot of people missed, and we actually get a scene of Abigail Marston antagonizing or berating Arthur Morgan, kind of funny. Now, it looks like Jack Marston, who obviously will will be very young in the game is not the only kid, as for the first time besides Bully, I believe, Rockstar is including children, which probably will be untouchable, although I like the idea of there being children around, as they add to the aspect of realism. We also see one kid holding up a newspaper, which hopefully works alike to Red Dead Redemption's newspapers. One of the big concerns many have had is physics, and thankfully it looks like Rockstar was very big on improving that for this title, as it looks like Red Dead Redemption 2 features improved Euphoria Physics, which is easily noticeable within the few action sequences in the gameplay trailer, with one showing an enemy NPC being killed by Arthur Morgan, and as his body falls off of his horse, the horse reacts with fear and boots his lifeless body mid-air and takes off. Arthur Morgan, Sadie Adler, and Dutch Vanderlyn can be seen planning some type of huge heist in the city of Saint Denis, which is most likely heavily secured and populated, as it is inspired by New Orleans. We get a look at the city of Blackwater at nighttime, as well as the Great Plains, all locations featured in Red Dead Redemption. We get a brief look at some of the blood and gore as Arthur Morgan helps an NPC out of a bear trap. Both Arthur Morgan and Micah Bell show off some custom weapons, as with Arthur he has a beautiful engraving on his revolver. With Micah, his revolver looks like it's black with a red grip, which hopefully is some of the customization that can be done at the gunsmith. We can see some of the bounties we can take on as they are posted on the outside of a building at the town of Van Horn. The heads-up display is extremely altered, with there being no health bar, but when conflict happens, it appears the circle map will highlight in red where you're being shot or attacked from, as well as when you're wanted, the circle appears to turn red, and if you get out of the wanted region, it'll still show which direction of the map that you're wanted in until it obviously eventually expires, like how it was in Red Dead Redemption. As Arthur Morgan enters a general store, we see the catalog that actually is in the collector's edition of the game, which features probably everything we can obtain in the game, and just a guess, but everything in there we'll probably be able to purchase as well. We get a look at what appears to be a Civil War veteran as he wears his Confederate coat. You'll be able to track an injured animal's scent, which looks very similar to games like The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt and Horizon Zero Dawn with how they handle that. Some of the previous locations that were featured in the early trailers look like they actually have gotten an upgrade in graphics, with most notably the scene of the gang riding into the two rocks looks much more detailed now. It actually looks like not all of the gameplay footage is of single player, as we get a look at a character model that has been shown in a lot of the online related pre-order bonuses, so it appears we actually have gotten some online gameplay of, I believe, a train robbery. We have our first look at some of the mini games, which include gambling and fishing. You'll now be aiming your weapon with the R2 button, which I found kind of interesting. Lastly, all of this footage was recorded in 4K on a PlayStation 4 Pro. But yeah, it looks like this is just the beginning. There's still many features that have not been revealed yet, like the rumored first-person mode and swimming, which I believe is all but confirmed now, with the different boats being spotted in a river, as well as Arthur Morgan and his gang members fishing on a boat. It wouldn't make sense for this to not be a feature. Anyway, these are just some of the things I've been able to find out. Make sure to comment below with maybe some of the hidden details that you've discovered. But thank you for watching. I'll have a ton of Red Dead Redemption 2 content to come, as I'm one of your top sources on this game, so make sure you are subscribed with notifications on. Also, don't forget to leave a like if you did enjoy this video or found any informative value. And remember, Outlaws for life.